my brother. I really appreciate
Okay.
the time. I've been trying to get a commitment from you to come on the show and tell me your story for a little while, and finally I narrowed it down, and we got you on camera. And I went to visit the school the other day, which was really cool to see the kids and everything like that. But I want to spend a little time talking because we haven't spent all that much time together. I don't know who you are and where you came from. So if you could spend a little time just talking about you and how you grew up and your family and how maybe you can make a long story right up until today. I don't know. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Okay.
Go wherever you want with it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jim, for this interview. And really, I feel really excited, very happy to be here. And yes, my name is Gustavo Viloria. I come from La Vega originally. I was born in Pueblo Viejo, La Vega. That's when I was about 3 years old. My mom or my family moved to Rancho Viejo. That's another town. We needed to cross La Vega, the city, to go there. Then it was a little bit sad for us because I remember we left all our neighbors, my grandmother, and my grandfather, all this family, we had especially very beautiful neighbors. I remember those women, there were about 5 women in one house, and there were 3 of them who didn't have any children. And but they deposited all their love in my twin brother, Gustavito, and I. That's his name, and that's my twin brother. But then we moved there to Rancho Viejo, and life in Rancho Viejo was very hard when we got there because there were a lot of mosquitoes. It was a very, very tough life, I remember. And we had to start working as kids when we were very, very young, maybe when we were 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
I remember I began in school when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And then we had to go to school in the morning, and then we had to go to work with our father in the afternoon. It was so hard. Sometimes I remember I used to cry because I wanted to go to school. It was always in my heart to go to school. But my father, we were 9 brothers and 3 sisters. It was a huge family.
Wow.
I remember, we used to sleep. I remember 9 brothers in one small room,
Wow.
and all of us wanted to sleep in separate beds. And then, it was like that. I was going to school, but my father was not so interested in school. But my mother was always, had the feeling for me to go to school or for us to go to school. Mm-hmm. Most of my brothers quit school when they were very young, but I went on with the school. I had one sister. I remember Marisol, my sister. She always pushed me, and we used to encourage one another to go to school. Mm-hmm. I had the feeling, I think God put this in me, and He said, "You're going to finish high school." It was very tough at that time. And then I finished my high school. Then I remember once we went to Samana. It was a trip to Samana. We went on a big bus. And then when we were at the beach, that was a very great experience because I saw a young guy. He was speaking in English he was in the middle of 2 American women. And he was like, all of us, we were very excited because in La Vega, you never saw a tourist. Oh. We don't have any tourism in La Vega.
Okay.
And then we were so excited asking him questions and to tell the girls, tell them if they have boyfriend. Ask them. He was very proud of speaking in English. And I got excited. When I came home, I couldn't wait to go to La Vega, to the city, to to register in an English class.
Okay.
That was only on Saturday. That was in 1986, more or less. Yeah.
What year were you born? How old are you?
I'm 59. I was here in 1966.
Okay, so you're just a couple years
Me and
older
my brother.
than me. A couple years older than me.
Yeah. Right. But I have many other brothers. I'm in the middle, because I have many other brothers who are older and
Okay.
sister older
Yeah, yeah,
than me.
yeah.
And then I began learning English. When I finished this English class or this English course, the principal of the school was very excited about me because I was a very good student. I had a lot of passion. It was only on Saturday I remember that I used to go to school because it was very far away and because we had to go to work. And then I remember that he said, "You're going to be teaching with me here." And
Wow.
then I began
How
teaching,
old?
and
How old were you then?
I was about maybe 20 or
Oh, okay.
21.
So yeah, you're a man by then.
Yeah. And I remember I spent a couple of years teaching with him. And he saw this potential in me, like
Hmm.
a gift, because God gave me the gift for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a passion I have. Today, for example, it was a beautiful day for me. I had some classes and I enjoyed these classes today. I began at 8 o'clock in the morning and I finished a couple of minutes ago now. And then I wanted to improve my English, and I always wanted to speak with foreigners, like Canadian people and American people.
Yeah, yeah.
At that time, it was Canadian. We had American people in our mind.
Uh-huh.
Then one day, I decided to come to Cabarete. I knew only one person who was working as a gardener in a hotel.
Okay.
I talked to him, and he said, "You can come there," but uh, he knew many people, but I didn't know anybody, only him. And he
Right.
said, "Okay." And then I took a bus, I remember, through Mocha, through the mountain. The
Yeah.
road was very bad. I was very scared because it was my first time coming here. In 1991, I remember I came here in Cabarete. So it's about 35 years now
Okay.
ago. Then when I came here, I remember I started like doing training in a hotel as a receptionist. And then I went to Punta Roleta hotel. There were some hotels, and because I had the facility to speak with customers, I wanted to speak with people because I wanted to speak English. I was very eager to do that. And then I remember that I began working in hotels, in different receptions, in different hotels. And I worked for about 8 years in hotels, in reception,
Oh, okay.
always speaking to people in the
Right.
reception. Then when I came here in 1991, I want to go a little bit back. When I came in 1991, I remember that Cabarete was full of German people. When I
Right.
came here, I said, there was a light, that lit in me. It said, okay, I'm going to learn German. But in 1991, I remember I got a very small dictionary, that was all I had.
Right.
Then I remember I wasn't married at that time. And then I was like at night, I was alone. I didn't have anybody, to tell him, okay, or to go to sleep or to tell me to go to sleep. And then I remember sometimes it was 3 a.m. and I was with a lamp, with a candle, 3 or 4 candles because I didn't have any power in my room. Then I was working with my German. Then I remember I went to a hotel to work in a hotel, and at that hotel there were many French Canadians from Quebec.
Okay.
And then I say, okay, I need to learn French. And then I began with French,
Okay.
German and French. But German was my passion.
Oh.
And I still love that language. I think my level of German is almost like English,
Okay.
And then I was learning. And then in 2000, I decided, it's about 2020, no, 2020, 2000, the year of 2000, I decided to start teaching again because my heart was not in working in hotels.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to teach.
Right.
Then I opened a school in 2000, very close to it was in June 2000. I remember.
Okay.
And then I started teaching English to local people.
All right.
Then one person he was from Switzerland, and he came to learn Spanish. I didn't know how to teach Spanish very well, but I started with him. And I remember he somebody else about my teaching that he liked, and
Oh.
then somebody came, and then I was full of people from France, from Germany, from Norway. I remember once in 2003, I had about 40 Norwegian in one classroom. I was working for a university in Oslo, Norway.
Can I just ask you, you're fluent in Spanish. Why is it difficult for you to? You didn't know you could teach the other languages, but you found it difficult to to teach Spanish. Is that what you were saying?
Because I didn't have any experience teaching Spanish.
Right.
I have a friend, he was teaching Spanish,
Uh-huh.
and then he gave me a book, and then I found another book, and then I said, okay. But
Interesting.
it was very easy to get along with teaching Spanish.
Right.
Because that was my first language was on time. Spanish is also a very complicated language for teaching, you know?
Oh,
Like
okay.
when you want to teach Spanish, you have a lot of rules that you don't have in English.
Right.
English is much easier for me to teach
Really?
than Spanish.
I'm surprised
Of
to hear
course.
that.
Now, well, I have about more than almost 30 years of experience, you know,
Hmm.
teaching Spanish. For me, it's not difficult. For many people want to teach Spanish and they cannot teach Spanish
Okay.
because it's so hard, even though they are Dominican.
Yeah, I got you.
And
So many
then
rules.
now I can say I'm fluent in Spanish.
fluent maestro. Sí.
That's right. I'm very fluent in because I consider two languages. I can speak Dominican Spanish, but also when I have to speak very formal Spanish, for example, last Monday, I was at a conference
Okay.
where I was translating from Spanish to English
Okay.
and from English to Spanish. You know, it was an opening of a church.
Mm.
And I can do that. Listen, when I'm speaking in front of people, I try not to make one single mistake in
You're
Spanish.
right. You don't use Dominican Spanish when you speak.
No.
Right.
Because they punish me, you know, if I
There's
do
so
it.
many.
If-
There's so much slang that people don't understand. Right.
That's right. Those are both languages. You know, when I go to my family in La Vega, for example, I go very often there.
Mhm.
When we are sitting at the table, you know, like having lunch,
Mhm.
I don't use my proper Spanish. You know, I
Right.
use my
Dominican.
colloquial Spanish, we call
Right.
my familiar Spanish, colloquial.
Mhm.
But because it's easier, you know, to get along, and then I don't want to sound like a pedant, you know, something like that.
Mhm.
But I enjoy knowing both languages because I feel very free, very confident when I have to talk because I know my language. If I have to speak with a Spanish person, I don't have any problem with Colombian people, with Canadian people, with Mexican people, with Venezuelan people. I don't make any difference with them, you know, because I can manage the language, the proper Spanish.
Right. So tell
And
me,
then-
if I could just interrupt a little bit. I'm interested to get because, you know, before yesterday when we met, the last time I'd seen you was at my church, and I heard that you were, you know, Mark came in and said, you know, Gustavo's speaking next week. I'm like, dude, I will be there. Like, if he ever, like, because I'm not a big church guy or whatever. So I'm really interested in how you got called to the faith, or specifically to preaching. Like, how did that journey go for you? Because
Yeah.
it's not easy to get on stage and talk to anyone. Forget about, like, to be a man of God, for a lack of a better term, to get up there and preach. You know, that's a totally different speech. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I have a sermon in me. One day I'll get up there and I'll give one. I think I definitely have one in me. But that's going to be the most intimidating of all things.
Jim, I want to tell you that the other day I went to preach there, and you remember when you saw me, you said, Gustavo, you brought me to church today. And you don't know how much you encouraged me that day. I have said that in many places I have been
Wow.
after that.
Thank you
I
for
said,
saying that. That's
one day,
beautiful.
a very tall guy, and he said, Gustavo, I see you like an angel or something like that. You didn't know
Yeah.
that day how much you encouraged me.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
God used you that day.
Wow.
I'm telling you the truth.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, I came to Jesus Christ in 1993.
Okay.
1993, in the middle of 1993.
Now, did you have God
Yeah.
in the family? Was obviously you live in a Catholic country. You must have had religion in your life at some level.
Yeah, it was a Catholic family, you
Right.
know. And in La Vega, in my city, the Catholicism is very hard.
So in
And
1993, you're 25 or something, 26, 20, you're less than 30 years old, right? If 70, 66, so yeah, you're 29 years old.
I was about that age, maybe 30 or something like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
And so what do you
And
mean,
then
when you came to, how did you say it? When I came to faith or came to God?
that was in 1993, 94.
Okay, so
I don't have the
I don't
year
mean to
exactly,
beat
but
this up, but
it
like,
was 1993. It was.
I'm just
it was
interested
year
in the distinction between you already being a Christian, like you grew up in a Christian home, you're Catholic. So what do you mean? What's the difference between having God in your life before 1993 and then after? Like what happened that made you come to God? You already believed in God, right?
Yes, I used to believe in God, but it was in a different way because we had a lot of saints, a lot of things in the on the walls that we used to worship. You know,
right? The Catholic.
When I came to Jesus, that's right. When I came to Jesus Christ, it was very different. I remember my mom, and my parents and my family, they were very mad at me because I changed. You know, like Martin Luther.
See, to me, I don't draw the distinction between being Catholic and Christian. I know they're different, but
it's a big difference.
But it's still Christian. Like Catholicism is Christian. You believe in Christ, so that's Christianity. So I get the difference. I grew up Catholic as well, and I don't have a time that I say I came to God, but I did get baptized as a man in a Christian church. Like I was baptized Catholic. I went all the way through confirmation and everything. And then I found a church that I really felt good in because I didn't like Catholic Mass. It bored me. It was like, I remember passing out one time when I was kneeling and then I stood up in graduation Mass. I passed out. I'm like, this is not fun for me. I don't want to pass out in church. So, and the next church I went to, I call it Rock and Roll Pretty Church. It was like a concert for half the time and then a service for half the time. And it was, we put 800 people in those seats. So, yeah, I'm just interested to hear that phrase of coming to God because I'm like, well, you were already Christian. What do you mean you came to God? And your family, they didn't support it either. They, so that's interesting. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was, well, in the Dominican Republic, there's a big difference. Being a Catholic and being an evangelical Christian evangelical. And then because now I was not going to worship those idols anymore, and I was not going to talk to Mary, for example.
Right.
They talk to Mary and they beg her, but we don't beg Mary. We go to Jesus Christ, God and Jesus Christ.
I got you.
That was the difference. And then, but anyway, I began being a Christian, and then I was very excited. And since that time, I have been, then God called me to teach Bible school or Sunday school it was at that time, but now it's Bible school because we teach it any day of the week. For example, now we teach the Bible school on Wednesday in my church. Last night we had a great Bible study. I was teaching that, for the glory of God. Okay. And I was so excited with those people, and they were so excited asking me questions, and I was answering them. It's a gift. And I enjoy it so much.
Oh, nice.
Being a Christian. And I feel so excited being a Christian, but I want to tell you that it hasn't been all the time this happiness because sometimes we go through a very hard time in our lives. Especially when I lost my first brother. He had a cancer. He was my very good friend and very good brother. That was about 10 years ago. And that was devastating for me.
Yeah.
But if it hadn't been for God, He supported me, He was with me at that time. But I grieved very because I saw my brother going from me, and I couldn't do anything about that, even doctors couldn't do anything, cancer. Then last year I lost another brother. And also my father, at the beginning of coming to Jesus Christ in 1993, I lost my father. But I want to tell you that we go through all of this very hard, difficult situations, but God is always with us. God has been with me all my life. And I want to tell you that right now, I am happier, much more happier than when I was maybe 25 years ago or 20. If you tell me, Gustavo, would you like to go back and be 20 years I said, no, I don't want to. I want to
Hmm.
go. I want to see what is forward, And then I have been preaching in my church, especially teaching Bible study. That's my ministry. Sometimes co-pastors of my pastors, they invite me to go to their churches, and God glorifies very greatly. Then last year, I had the opportunity to preach in English. Oh, that was very exciting for me. I
Is
remember
that here in Sosua?
in Sosua,
At
Oceanside Church.
Oceanside, of
That
course.
was my first sermon. I preached about Elijah,
Yeah.
when he flew from Jezebel, and this, and everybody was so excited when I finished. Or when I was preaching, everybody was very excited. Everybody was laughing, and nodding. And I said, wow, God, you are with me. And then when I finished, they said, you have to come again. You have to come. You have to be here again. And then since that, I have been going there I have many times I have been preaching there. I think in April now, I'm going to be preaching again.
Okay.
Or in March. I'm not sure. They will send me the date.
You have to remind me.
You
Yes,
don't, you
definitely.
don't know how excited I feel when I go and I preach there, because that was my passion, now I started doing some Bible study in German, because one of my goals is to teach in German, to be able to preach
To
or to
preach in
teach a
German.
Bible study in German. But it's very tough. I didn't know it was that hard. Then I have been learning different languages since that. Uh, Maybe I'm reducing, because of talking too fast. But now I can communicate in different languages. I'm studying Russian. I'm very passionate
Okay.
with Russian now. Yeah, yeah, по-русски. Then I can do it in French. My French is very close to my English.
Oh, good.
And yeah, je parle français. Ich spreche Deutsch. Puedo hablar el alemán.
Hmm.
Ja, es noch Norsk. Puedo hablar, I can speak a little bit Norwegian and different languages. Italian is not so interesting for me, because I have a lot of friends from Italy, or I have some friends from Italy, and we communicate very easy. So it's not a
Hmm.
challenge for me like Portuguese.
Portuguese, yeah, very
Yeah,
different.
those languages are not very challenging. I want to have like challenging languages like Russian.
Oh, I
Now
see.
I'm struggling
So you're
very
saying,
hard with
yeah,
this alphabet.
Portuguese and
Those,
Italian are very similar to Spanish, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
I've heard that about Portuguese. And sometimes it's difficult for me to parse whether it's Portuguese or Spanish, because there are a
yeah,
lot of similar words as well. Some of the bands I've been listening to, and I'm like, well, is this? Oh no, it doesn't sound. I don't know enough of the words. I know it's not Spanish
yeah.
because, yeah,
You will learn. I will teach you.
yeah, great. That's another thing. What is your what is your teaching schedule like? Because I mean, I'm interested to get back into that, and if you're doing it remotely, especially if you do it by Zoom, I could probably bring a few people every week to it if you have a night where you're teaching Spanish, because I picked up a little bit since I've been here, and I can I sound good with the phrases that I know, but I really don't understand much, especially because Dominicans speak so quickly, right? And I have to say, hablas demasiado, not, what's slow? Demasiado?
Despacio, despacio.
Demasiado is too much. I always get those, despacio, no rápido hablas, but,
Yes.
so yeah, I'd be interested in how you're putting out those lessons and whether or not anyone can come.
Yeah, my schedule begins very early in the morning, 8 o'clock or 7:45. I teach a class here in the normal school. Where I have 32 kids, or 32 teenagers. I
Oh.
teach them language, but I also teach them a little bit about the Bible, or about how to get along with people. And
Mm,
there's we call relaciones humanas, human relation,
yeah.
and those things.
Life
And
skills.
they are very excited. I am very excited with them, because they are very young people, and I love working with these teenagers.
Hmm.
Now they are learning Spanish with me. There are many girls that they are going ahead to be at the United Nations, participating in some contests we have here, and
Okay.
I'm helping them with their speaking, Spanish well, the good Spanish. And they say, sometimes they say, "Oh, teacher, but we don't know any Spanish." They get surprised, when I teach them Spanish. Then I begin with English and English, especially English in the morning. I begin very early, and then when I finish my class about 9 o'clock, I go teaching my Spanish, and I have local people who come here for German classes. I have people who come for French. I have people who come for German, French, and English. English, German, and French. I teach those languages to local people. But most of all, I teach Spanish one-on-one, or sometimes
Oh,
two
okay.
people. One-on-one, I have a classroom here, and they come. I'm like a doctor.
Oh,
Every time I finish 1 hour, there's somebody waiting for me.
oh,
There's somebody
okay.
waiting for me. Sometimes my schedule is very
Wow.
busy. I praise God for that because He sent people. I don't have any promotion, any advertising, and people come to me. Everybody say, Gustavo. Sometimes, something I don't like is when they come and they say, Gustavo, somebody told me, I was told you are a great teacher. And I say, oh, you don't say that. And I joke with them. I say, I'm only a good teacher when I have good students.
Yeah, I get
So
you.
I compromise my students.
But you know what? What they're speaking to is your passion, right? So they see that you love doing this, right? So I
Wow,
think
I
that
enjoy.
that makes you a good teacher, even if you're not the best teacher in the world. Like you're so passionate and you care about your people. Like I mean, even on a personal level. I mean, it's not.
I love my students.
I know you love everyone. It's like
look,
I tell everyone, it's not unusual to see this guy and for him to ask, "How's your father? How's it? Yeah, last time I spoke to you, he was having a heart procedure. Like, how is he? Like, you remember not only the like the specific details. So, I love that about you. So, yeah, that your passion certainly bleeds through into your lessons. But I'm surprised you do it one-on-one. I would think that you could probably get 10 or 15 people to give you five
No,
or
I do
10 bucks for
one-on-one.
the hour, you know what I mean? And just whatever. Like that's how I met you, was over here, Spanish lessons at the realty in the boardroom at the realty shop.
I
And
remember.
I thought it went okay. Like, like I was learning stuff, and I'm interested to find out, at what pace I could learn now with a basic, like I don't have a basic understanding, but I have a lot more vocabulary now. Like I can get by.
I can see that.
And now I have more questions. I'm like, why is this? Why is this? What? How the different forms of I am or whatever. You know what I mean? Why is it? So, yeah, I'd be interested to get back into it because, I just saying to George, my Russian friend the other day that, I was at the fights, right, boxing. And I wanted to know what they were saying. I wanted to hear what they're saying in the corner. I want to know what they're saying. Like I want to be fluent in the entiendo. Yo necesito estudiar más español, sí. But yeah, that's great.
I know there are a lot of people on the media now talking about languages and things like that. But if you don't mind, maybe we can arrange one time or sometime just to talk about, because I would like to tell young people and to talk to people, because it's so important, especially in Cabarete and Susua, to know language. And now to know languages or to learn, especially English for Dominican people. And if they can learn, maybe we can arrange and get together for me to teach or for me to tell people how to learn languages, different ways
Oh, bro,
to
that'd
go.
be so cool.
Because not everybody learns the same way. And then that would be exciting for me if we can arrange that, if we can get together and talk about, and for me telling people how to learn, because I have the experience, I
would you
can
consider
communicate.
doing it this way, like over?
Zoom,
Yeah.
Zoom, it would be perfect if you
Oh,
want.
okay.
I don't know. If you want, we can do in person too.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
can interview me.
Right. Okay, so I want to respect your time because I told you I was gonna, I told you I'd keep you for 40 minutes, and dude, I could speak to you for 2 hours. We haven't.
So excited.
We're just scratching the surface. I'm just getting to know you, and like I said, I want to respect your time now, but maybe we can do part 2 next week sometime when
Okay.
you've got another
Okay.
half hour, 40 minutes. We'll do part 2, and then we'll take it. And now that you know how it works, I think you'll be more, you look comfortable to me, but maybe you'll have a little bit more, maybe God's influence will land on you for the next show. And it's like, Mark says sometimes he doesn't even know what he's going to say when he stands in front of the lectern, and God just brings him the message.
That's right.
So,
if you want us to talk about Jesus Christ, that's my passion, talking about the book of Acts, the book of Romans, and then we can take a passage and we can discuss that passage too, if you want to.
All right. Well, I'm excited about the future, man. Are you just recovering from the gripe, or are you getting sick?
I'm getting better now, but
Okay.
I'm still
Still got the
struggling a
cough.
little bit.
Yeah,
Because of the
cough
weather,
hangs around
it's
too much.
the weather is sometimes a little bit cool, sometimes it's hot, and like this is, and our immune system is not very used to this,
I hear you. Okay, I'm going to stop recording, but stay with me. Don't hang up, okay? And thank you for your time. I love you, brother. It was a great first kick at the can here, so I'm just going to